Hello, I'm Paul Carroll, technical writer for Digital Photo Magazine, and welcome to this video tutorial on creating high-key portraits. High-key portraits are very fashionable nowadays, but getting one done down the high street can work out pretty expensive. But if you've got a white bedsheet, Photoshop elements, and a DSLR of course, then recreating this look yourself is really easy. If the weather's mild enough, it's as simple as throwing the bedsheet over a washing line to use as a backdrop. A slightly overcast day is perfect. Clouds are the best softbox you could ask for, and they're great at diffusing the sunlight to provide a lovely, balanced light. But if doing it outside isn't possible, then just set up your backdrop close to a large window and use a couple of reflectors to bounce the light back onto your subject. Once you've got your initial images, then a bit of Photoshop work is necessary to recreate that high-key look. And in this video tutorial, I'll show you how to use a levels adjustment to blow out the highlights in the background, increase contrast in your subject, and also add a real sparkle to those eyes to make the portrait come to life. Okay, let's get started. I'm just going to close down my final image here. Then from the CD, open the image Ashton. Now we're going to be making changes to our image using adjustment layers. So we're going to need the layers palette open. So go up to the window menu and down to layers. And you can see that opens it on the right hand side of the screen. Now go up to the layer menu, down to new adjustment layer and across to levels. Give it a name. I'm going to call this white background and click OK. Now we're going to be using the set white point eyedropper, which is this icon here on the right hand side of the levels palette, to whiten the background. So if I just drag this palette out of the way and select my white point eyedropper, I can then click with the eyedropper anywhere on the background here, and what that will do is it will set the white point of the image to the tones in the background that I select. So the darker the point that I select, the more of the highlights are going to become blown out. And you can see if I select these points right down in the bottom left hand corner, I'm actually losing quite a lot of detail on the left hand side of the baby's face there. It's sort of bleeding into the background. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to click around this area here, which, as you can see, means that we're still getting a little bit of definition on the baby's head there, but at the same time we're blowing out much of the detail in the background to create that high key look. Although you can see up in the top left hand corner here we've still got a little bit of detail, but we're going to deal with that in a minute. So I'm quite happy with that I've set my white point correctly, so simply click OK. Now I'm going to use the dodge tool just to dodge this little bit of detail that's still in the top left hand corner and around some of the background. But to do that, I'm going to actually do it on a separate layer so that I can undo my changes if I want to. So click on your background layer and then go up to layer, duplicate layer, and click OK, and that creates a copy which we can do our dodging to. So select your dodge tool from the toolbox, and with quite a large brush, 200 pixel, we want to set the range to highlight, and the exposure can be really high because we just want to completely burn out the highlights in the background. So I'm going to set that to 100%. We want to make sure we've got quite a nice soft brush, so 200 pixel soft brush is fine, and then we can just run this brush very roughly and quickly over the background. I don't want to go over the baby's head, so I'm just going to undo that. Start again. There we go, just burn out these highlights here, and then once we get close to the baby, then we just want to start running a little bit carefully so that we don't burn out any of the details. I mean, you can actually run over the black and red of the baby's jumper here because that's not a highlight detail, so you won't burn it out, but we need to be very careful when we're running it around the hair and the face area because there are some highlights there that will burn out. Right, that's fine. We've created that high key look. I'm quite happy with that. So now I just want to add some extra contrast and punch to the baby. So to do that, I'm going to create another adjustment layer. So back up to the layer menu, down to new adjustment layer, and again it's going to be a levels adjustment layer, so across to levels. Just want to call this contrast and click OK. And then to darken the tones in the image, all I need to do is use the gamma slider, which is the slider in the center of the levels graph. And by clicking with my left mouse button and holding, I can then move this slider around. You can see if I move it to the left, I'm lightening the tones, but if I move it to the right, then I'm just darkening the tones in the image. And somewhere around about an input level of 0.8 looks about right. Use the preview button to see the effect that levels adjustment has had on the image. That looks good, so I just click OK to accept the change. Even with that levels adjustment though, you can still see that we're losing some detail on the left hand side there of the baby's head, and it's sort of still bleeding into the background. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to burn this area in using the burn tool. So again, click back onto our background copy, which is where we're doing our dodging and burning changes, and from the toolbox where we had the dodge tool before, if we just click and hold with our left mouse button, we can now select the burn tool. This time a 300 pixel brush is too big, so what I'm going to do is just click in the brushes palette here, and I'm going to select a soft edge 65 pixel brush. Will be about right. The range is set to highlights, and that's fine because as I say, we want to burn in the highlights of the hair and the face, but exposure of 5% is too strong for this burning, so I'm just going to knock that back down to 1%, and then click and hold with my left mouse button and just work slightly carefully around the highlight on the left hand side of the baby's head, just to give it a little bit of definition between the edge of his head and the background. There we go. Right, so the next adjustment that I want to make is just adding some sparkle to those eyes. So I need to zoom in quite tightly so that I can make an accurate selection of the eyes. So just select the zoom tool from the toolbox and zoom in quite tightly, around 300% is fine. Then from the toolbox, if you find the lasso tool, and again hold down with your left mouse button, and the third option down on the list, the polygonal lasso, will allow you to make an accurate selection. And then up in the options bar, we want to select the second icon along, which is the add to selection icon, and under the feather box we want to add a feather radius of 2 pixels. Now we can work with our lasso tool and just click with our mouse to make an accurate selection, and what we want to be doing here is taking in the eyes, the whites of the eyes and the pupils. So I'm just going to work quite quickly and make a selection of that eye, and because we've selected the add to selection icon, I can now just click with my mouse around this eye here, and it still keeps the selection of my first eye active, and then by the time I complete this selection, then I've selected both eyes. Okay, so with those eyes selected, all I need to do is hold down Control on the keyboard and press the letter J, and that punches my selection into a new layer, and you can see that's now sitting on layer 1 in your layers palette. I'm now going to hold down Control again and press the letter L, which brings up my levels palette, and again I'm going to select the white point eyedropper, and I'm just going to click on the whites of the eyes here, and as you can see that's really brought the whites of the eyes to life and added some colour to the pupils. Click OK to accept that adjustment. We also want to sharpen the eyes, and we can do that really easily now that we've got them sitting on their own layer. So with layer 1 highlighted, go up to the Enhance menu and down to Unsharp Mask, and we want to enter an amount of 100%, a pixel radius of 4 and a threshold of 25. Use our preview and you can see that's just adding an extra little bit of sharpness to the eyes. So click OK. Okay, we're nearly there now. The final thing that we just need to do is clean up any dust, scratches or blemishes on the image. So to do that, click back on the background copy layer, zoom out to 100%, and if we start in the bottom right hand corner, we can work our way around the image. Now I need to select the clone stamp tool from the toolbox, and I'm going to set a brush size of 10 pixels with a mode set to normal and opacity 100%. Holding down the space bar on the keyboard, I can just scroll around the image using my left mouse button, and when I come across a speck of dust, just hold down the Alt key on the keyboard, sample a clean area of the image using my left mouse button, and then I can just paint over the blemish like that. So just work your way around the image doing that. You can see a little black mark there on the red, and we've got a little mark on his face there, so we'll just clean that one up, and a little one on his nose. And we'll just work our way around the image, cleaning up all of those little blemishes and dust scratches until we're done. Okay, there we go. All you need to do now is just save the image to your computer, and you've got a beautiful high-key portrait at a fraction of the price of the high street. I really hope you've enjoyed this video tutorial. Give it a go using the start image on the CD, and then get recreating your own contemporary portraits in the future. Cheers.